Welcome into the Wiltfong Whip Around. Today is Thursday, April 25th. We are taping this on the road. We're somewhat on the road. We're in Chicago, but me and Steve, we're going to knock out this Wiltfong Whip Around because we got some big spring games we got a preview. But first, guys, lock in, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're talking recruiting all off season, so get on board, hit subscribe. All right, Steve Wiltfong, we're ready. We're going to go out to Colorado first. There's a couple big spring games, but we got to start in Colorado. And you already, the weekend's not even here, but you already got a couple names on possible commit watch.
Well, there's going to be a lot of stars in Boulder this weekend. I think I saw Lil Wayne was on the docket. Some other folks that I don't know if I've heard of them, but they're famous. But I've heard of these recruits that are coming to campus. A lot of high-profile prospects are going to be soaking in the festivities, the atmosphere in Boulder, and there are several that are on commit watch this weekend for Deion Sanders and his staff as they try and secure their first commitment in the 2025 cycle. The first one that comes to mind is Buford linebacker Mantrez Walker out of the Peach State, a second-level thumper who was at one time committed to Michigan. He visited Colorado during the fall, loved it, has built a great relationship with Andre Hart, and feels like the number one prospect on the board at the position for Colorado. Then you have IMG Academy four-star Alex Graham, a defensive back, a Detroit native who at one point was really linked to Michigan and Penn State and programs like that. Colorado offered in February. They have really heated up here. My RPM is on Colorado for Alex Graham and Mantrez Walker. A third RPM I have for Colorado going into the weekend is Corbin Lazier, a two-way standout from Bluff City, Tennessee, Sullivan East High. He's a tight end. He's a defensive lineman. He's got a Final Four of Arizona State, Colorado, Louisville, and Ole Miss. He's going to announce his commitment on April 27th. Alex Graham is locked in for April 26th, and I like Colorado for Corbin Lazier. And there's a fourth name. I don't know if he's on commit watch, but I think Colorado is in a really good position with four-star offensive lineman Chauncey Gooden from Nashville Lipscomb Academy. He's got a top 10 that includes Colorado, and I think they're closer to the top right now. Off-field recruiters Corey Phillips and Darius Darden-Box have put Colorado in really good position for Chauncey Gooden coming into the visit. And Josh, Colorado, they've been crushing it in the transfer portal this cycle. Colton Hood, he was slated to start for Auburn this year on the Plains. He will not be playing his college football there. He is in the portal. He's visiting Colorado this week, and I'm hearing the Buffaloes are the team to beat for Colton Hood as well.
Yeah, and those aren't the only high-profile recruits. I mean, you just mentioned some big names, but there's some even bigger, highly rated prospects going to be on campus. Tell us about those guys.
Yeah, five-star offensive tackle Michael Fasusi tells me that he's going to be at Colorado. He was also supposed to be back at Oklahoma this week. He's not making that trip. Colorado looking to make a move on the likes of Oklahoma, Texas, Texas A&M, Missouri, Georgia, to name a few of the other contenders for Michael Fasusi, but he's excited to get to Boulder. Byron Lewis is a four-star running back from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, American Heritage High. I recently put in an RPM for Florida State, but he got to Boulder last night. He's going to be there all week with Deion Sanders and his coaching staff. So we'll see if Colorado makes a move. Miami and Ohio State are a couple other top targets or top contenders for Byron Lewis. And then Zayari Addison is a very coveted offensive tackle from Tampa, Florida, Sumner High. He visited Colorado earlier this spring. He's got an exciting weekend, Josh. He is going to be at Colorado and he is going to be at Oregon. And he had a great visit to Colorado earlier, really talked about his time with Coach Phil Loadholt. Now, Phil Loadholt worked with Bill Beatenbaugh at Oklahoma, so he has got a previous standing relationship with Michael Fasusi, and his style is really appealing to Zayari Addison. So Colorado trying to crush the offensive line this cycle. These are two of their top targets. Coach Devin Rispras is another that's done a good job with guys like Zayari Addison and Byron Lewis. So a big weekend for Colorado. A couple of high-profile 2026s. C.J. Sadler, arguably the top prospect in Michigan. Dorian Barney, one of the most coveted corners in the land from SEC country. Those guys are also going to be in Boulder.
Now, one name that we are tracking, or we're tracking, that is not going to be in Boulder, but we might as well talk about him now, is five-star quarterback Julian Lewis. Now, there was some rumors that he was going to maybe show up for this game. but it looks like he is not. But Steve, you got some intel on Juju Lewis.
Well, Colorado is trying to make it happen. Julian Lewis, I think, wanted to be there, but he can't be two places at once. He's going to throw in the Elite 11 regional this weekend and earn his golden ticket to the Elite 11 finals. And I talked to Julian's dad. He said Colorado understood. We'll be out for the official visit in June. And Colorado told him to go handle his business at the camp. I think you look at Colorado as one of the two biggest threats right now to flip Julian Lewis from USC. He's already been to Colorado twice. They like the offense. They like the conversation with Coach Shermer, the opportunity to come in and play right away. But anytime Colorado has one of their players go in the portal, Julian's dad, TC, told me that they've been getting some negative recruitment right away. Every time someone's in the portal, he says we get spammed with, there's another one, there's another one. But TC said, I think people don't understand the amount of pressure that Coach Prime is under this year. It's his last ride with Shador, Travis Hunter, Shiloh. The motivation is to add to the roster with guys that immediately help. But TC said if you look deeper, a lot of these guys have multiple years of eligibility left. So he feels like Colorado not only building for the now, but building for the future. Julian's going to be at USC for his official June 7th. Auburn's locked in for June 14th. We still view them as the biggest threat to flip him from USC. Colorado's set for June 21. They're definitely in the middle of it. And then you got Alabama in play as well, and we'll see what happens with the Crimson Tide moving forward.
Yeah, hey, if you're getting negative recruited against, you know you're a threat. So Colorado fans, you got to feel happy about that. I mean, hearing that other big-time programs feel threatened about where you stand with Juju Lewis, it's a good sign.
Josh, before we talk about some of these other big spring games this weekend, I was recently introduced to Roback, and I couldn't be more excited. When I say impressed by the quality and comfort, I mean it. I literally can't take this stuff off since trying it on. For starters, the Roback polos are my favorite polos. They not only have fun designs for every occasion and season, but they fit perfectly and easily transition throughout the day. Roback's everyday shorts are the perfect pairing as well. They are so comfortable, have an elastic waistband and great fabric that is made to stretch. Finally, the Roback hoodie is by far my favorite piece of clothing I own. It's so comfortable. I wear this to start my day, end my day, and everything in between. Easy to be active in or just relax. This hoodie will fit whatever the day has in store. They've also released a ton of new products. Between their brand new Tailwind tees and bathing suits, Roback is ready for the warm weather. Roback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with college stars Jalen Milroe, Cade Klubnik, among others. They are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes. Use the code STEVE on Roback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with the code STEVE.
All right, Steve, let's head out to Oregon, Eugene. There's the Duck spring game, and the visitor list is massive. You guys can go over to Scoop Duck and check it out. Justin Hopkins and the boys do an incredible job tracking all things Oregon Ducks. But, Steve, I want to talk five-star recruits with you, and there are a few coming in, namely Elijah Griffin, DJ Pickett, and our guy, Jakeem Stewart, the number one player in the 2026 class, who might reclassify to the 2025 class. We talk about him a lot. But let's start with the 2025 recruits in Elijah Griffin and DJ Pickett. Right now, Elijah Griffin trending to Georgia, but he has made a couple trips out to the West Coast. What do you think of Griffin and the Ducks right now?
Well, you never sleep on Oregon. And if any program, any head coach is built to recruit against Georgia, it's Dan Lanning, who was pivotal in helping build that program into the national title contender that they are. Now he's trying to do it from the corner office at Oregon. Elijah Griffin's a top target, and we've talked about it all month, Josh. Oregon's going to eventually make a run on the trail. They had a top 5 class last year. They have the firepower on the board to finish in the top 5 this year. Elijah Griffin, they need to trend up here. Obviously, the RPM's on Georgia. We like the Bulldogs, but he is giving other schools an opportunity to make a move. Oregon is a program that he's going to get a look at this weekend, and we'll see what happens with the Ducks coming out of the trip.
All right, Steve, let's talk DJ Pickett because his cousin signed with Miami last year. They seem to have the inside track of the in-state schools recruiting DJ Pickett, who's from Zephyr Hills, Florida. But you got LSU and now Oregon. Oregon heavily in the mix. They've got him out there multiple times. What does this visit mean to you when it comes to DJ Pickett in Oregon?
Yeah, following his last visit to LSU a couple weeks ago, he said that LSU and Miami were neck and neck. And how could he turn down an opportunity to play for Corey Raymond, who he views as the best defensive backs coach in college football? But this is his third visit to Oregon, so he is obviously very serious about the Ducks. Going to take a later official visit, so he's going to take 4 visits to Eugene. He's gotten his mom out there, getting his folks out there. Loves the trajectory of the program. Again, Dan Lanning, the defensive background, some of the big-time players that he has developed. He loves being in Eugene. This is going to be a great atmosphere. So we'll see if Oregon can be right on par with Miami and LSU coming out of this visit, which will make this summer very interesting. And DJ wants to take his college decision into the fall. He wants to watch these teams play some during the season, which I view as, what's Miami going to do? How's Miami playing? I think he's pretty confident that LSU and Oregon are going to have a good year. Miami, he likes the trajectory. 3 more wins this past season than the year prior. But I think an opportunity to watch all these teams play this fall is why he is pushing his decision into the fall. And Oregon is one of the front runners.
Yeah. Now, what about Jakeem Stewart? Because he's a guy that we kind of talk about making all these visits, maybe for the first time, but also if he's going to be a 2025 reclassifier, then these visits mean a lot. So what do you make of Jakeem Stewart going out to Oregon this weekend?
Well, he's got interest in Oregon. You know, USC, he's been there 3 times already, fresh off a weekend visit to the Trojans campus. No question, that's one of his favorite schools. He's going to be at the USC-LSU season opener in Las Vegas. LSU's another top school. Ohio State has given him a great visit. Texas, Miami, some of the others that he has a keen eye on. But here's Oregon's chance to impress. And very rare, Josh, do we ever talk to a prospect that isn't blown away by what Oregon can offer. So we expect Jakeem Stewart to rave about Oregon. And if he does reclassify, I would imagine they get on the calendar for an official visit, and then we see what happens from there.
All right. Well, big weekend out in Eugene. Before we move on from Oregon, there's one more prospect I want to talk about. He's not a 5-star, but he is the number 2 tight end in the land out of Kansas. We're talking Lincoln Cure. Is he a guy that you have an eye on this weekend?
Well, not to commit, but he has an official visit scheduled to Oregon for June 14th, and talking to his dad on Wednesday, he thought that was going to be their last trip to Oregon, but his son was like, look, we got to get there for the spring game. And so they got it on the calendar really quick. And so they're coming out to Oregon. They went to a game last year. They're going to be at Oregon spring game. They're going to get back for an official visit. Kansas State is the RPM favorite for Lincoln Cure, but I'm starting to get the sense Oregon is the biggest challenger. His dad said the Pacific Northwest lifestyle is appealing to his son. Coach Maringer and Coach Lanning have done a really good job recruiting him. And so they want to get out there, learn more about Eugene, putts around town, and then obviously they'll come back for their official visit. But Dan Lanning went out to see Lincoln Cure during the evaluation period. They've invested a lot of time in him. They're in on some other high-profile tight ends like Deshaun Brame. But Lincoln Cure giving Oregon a good look. Going to visit 2 more times, including this weekend.
All right, big spring game out there in Eugene. Duck fans, tap in, comment section below. How are we feeling about this weekend? A couple 5-stars, also Lincoln Cure. Let me know, comment section below. Okay, let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Cornhuskers have their spring game this weekend, and they have 7 official visitors on campus. Who are you keeping an eye on this weekend? Huge recruiting weekend out in Lincoln.
Well, I think the first guy you look at is Orange Lutheran 4-star quarterback TJ Lateef. He's taking his official visit. He is the top target on the board for Matt Rule and the Huskers, and no program is recruiting him harder. With that, I think the Big Ten program has set the pace in this recruitment. Lateef also took a recent visit to Colorado that he enjoyed, but I think Colorado's all in on Julian Lewis right now. We'll see what happens as they play quarterback dominoes going into the summer. 5-star athlete Michael Terry III returns. 2 of Florida's best will be on campus. On 300 receiver Cortez Mills, who was one of Nebraska's first offers in the 2025 cycle. Then you have cornerback Antonio Branch, who'll be in town. 2 of their top offensive line targets, John Mills and then Ale Kalinuvalu from Las Vegas Bishop Gorman. They take their official visits. We'll see if Dawson Merritt comes to campus, Josh. On 300 linebacker. He was at Alabama last weekend. Chad Simmons and I have since RPM the Crimson Tide for Dawson Merritt. Nebraska trying to stem that tide, get him back to Lincoln this weekend. He was just at Nebraska 2 weeks ago. So Nebraska in the middle of that one, but trailing as we speak right now. And then Chad Simmons leading the charge. I followed suit on a on-3 crystal ball in favor of Nebraska for touted tight end Bear Tenney. Nebraska has 5 commits right now. They're looking for another top 25 class, be a second in a row. We like Nebraska for Bear Tenney right now. He wouldn't be surprising if he's not the next one to jump in.
Yeah, a big weekend all around, but a massive weekend out in Lincoln, Nebraska. So Nebraska fans, tap in the description below, in the comment section. Let me know how we feeling about this weekend. Are you going to add to the class? You can kind of feel that Nebraska recruiting momentum building. Is this the week that we get some commitments? Let me know. Comment section below.